Good morning, Shanda.
Good morning, Oz.
How you doing?
Well, I'd be better if my landlord wasn't mowing. So if you hear me clicking in and out, it's because I'm muting when he drives by. But how am I doing in light of what we saw yesterday? Wow. How's the country doing is the true question.
Yeah, how is the country doing? Now, folks, I just wanted to let you know we had a crash just before the show, like a minute and a half ago. We got it back up real quick. Rhonda is out today, a little bit under the weather, considering everything that's going on. I don't blame her. So Shanda has graciously jumped in to give us a hand today. We always love our Shanda coming into the show. And just a shout out to Al. Good morning, Al. How you doing?
Good morning, Al.
Good morning, Al. Speaking of Al, we want to. We didn't get to offering you the Wipey Award yesterday. You have some of the best comments, and you integrate with the group, and you're just here just about every day. So, we're going to give you the Wipey Award for being such a good follower and a good partner in the dialogue and the discourse. So, yeah. Al gets a Wipey Award today, and we'll mention that. Remind me to mention that going out again today, Shanda, for those who aren't here right now.
You got it.
I really appreciate it. All right, let's get to the mess today. I think did you happen to see Uncle Creepy Joe's speechy this morning?
I did. And I lost interest partway through. I just felt like he was just throwing platitudes at me and blah, blah. And I got to say, I loved yesterday's comment where he wants police to just shoot you in the leg instead of shooting you in the heart.
Yeah, but what if they hit the main vein in your leg? Don't you die too?
Well, and then what? You don't have medical, so you're going to die anyways from an infection.
Yeah, God, can't we get something better before convention? Maybe Al will. Let's have it. How about this? Al and Jilly for VP and president, or president and VP.
I'm down for that, man. But Jilly Love gets the top, marking
spot
on that spot because women, we need that spot.
Oh yeah, that glass ceiling that we're still picking out of our ass from 2016 is really, that hurts.
I hate that saying. And I used to love that saying as a woman, because that was a sign that we actually broke through. But now it's lost its meaning.
Yeah, it's lost the love for that. Anyway, I think there's some audio to this. I'm just going to subject everybody to just a moment of Joey speaking. This is Joe Biden from MSNBS, formerly known as MSNBC. The country is crying out for leadership. This can unite us. Leadership that brings us together. Leadership that can recognize pain and deep grief of communities that have had a knee on their neck for a long time. Well, that's a great opportunistic statement there, Joe. Let's see if we can get this thing to play for everybody. Oh, let's get it in the middle there. Come on now. Okay.
And they speak to a nation where every day millions of people, millions, not at the moment of losing their life, but in the course of living their life, are saying to themselves, I can't breathe. It's a wake-up call to our nation, in my view. It's for all of us, and I mean all of us. It's not the first time we've heard those words. They're the same words we heard from Eric Garner when his life was taken away 6 years ago. But it's time to listen to those words, to try to understand them, to respond to them, respond with action. A country is crying out for leadership. Leadership that can unite us. Leadership that...
I can't take any more of that.
See, that's what I mean. I couldn't even watch it. That's about as far as I got into the speech this morning. And my question is he reading from a teleprompter, or is he actually recalling this from memory?
Well, I don't know. I think it's a combination probably, but I know they're using some of that go juice they had left over from the last debate with Bernie, because he made it 20 minutes that time. Either that or they had electrodes stuffed up his nether regions. Let me see this. Bill Gabriel. Hey, Bill. Hi. Hi, Alan Raccoons. Okay, yeah, that's cool. I like that. Bill Gabriel says Tom Hartman called Joe's speech brilliant. Well, you know what?
He would.
You know what, Bill? Do you know Bill? I don't know Bill.
I don't know Bill, but I know Tom. I was a huge Tom Hartman fan in 2015 and 2016. I actually was buying his books and reading them.
Me too.
And then he just sold us out, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, Tom, what you finally started sipping the Kool-Aid, but you just shoved the funnel in and had somebody get a 5-gallon can and pour it down your throat. I mean, dude, Tom Hartman's a very intelligent, articulate, scientific, socially, social mind as far as communications and everything else. But for the love of God, Tom, this speech was brilliant. This was ripped out of the 90s with rhetoric and platitudes and patriotism all sewn into 20 damn minutes. It was no different from some of the other political opportunist speeches we've heard. The substance in that was just lacking severe. What was the substance in that speech this morning? What?
I don't know. It's the same thing they've been saying over and over. That's why I lost interest. I was like, oh, come out and be the leader that we need right now, because we have a serious lack of leaders that are actually speaking to the American public and the reason they're in the streets. And it wasn't Biden, I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, yeah, Biden's calling on other people to do something. What the F are you doing there, buddy? I mean, sure, I'm not inspired by his speech. I didn't think it was brilliant. It might have been brilliant for those 65 and over. Neoliberals. I mean, whatever. I'm kind of wanted to say, hey, let's follow the money and see who's sponsoring Tom these days, or is he trying to get in the club? I don't know, Tom. I have talked to Tom Hartman personally in his chats. I've called him on the phone back in the day, and he had brunch with Bernie. I'm thinking, yeah, this guy gets it, but oh my God in heaven.
Well, he falls in the category with Robert Reich, Noam Chomsky, these people that tell us that we have a failure of policy over the last 40 years, but they keep getting on the neoliberal bandwagon, which is the failure of policy.
Yeah, I truly agree with Ashanda. I mean, this is why we are where we are today in many respects. And we don't even need to go with the Hollywood mouth pieces that we see. Meathead for one and Alyssa Milano for the other. I'm just like, So anyway, moving right along. I don't want to stagnate the show with Joe again. So let me see if I can find my next one going on here. I got a page. Oh, yeah, this is it. I got it right. I'm in the right order. What the hell? How did you do that, Oz? This one was choice, and this one literally kind of scared me as much as I can be scared anymore, because we all went our numbers up. This is well, never mind. I'm just gonna play it. Fuck. Oh my God.
He's walking across Lafayette Park, literally walked across Lafayette Park. It's something that almost never happens. And you can see he went in front of the St. John's Church to hold up a Bible. So St. John's Church was actually one of the churches which was lit on fire the previous night before by some rioters and looters. And so that was, I think, the political statement that was being made. And you could kind of see all across D.C. a totally different posture last night. You had the Attorney General and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Defense Secretary.
All right, Saagar, enough embellishing. I had enough of you today. As a matter of fact, Saagar and Krystal had a little debate this morning. They're away from the studio. They're doing some other stuff. Krystal kicked his ass, in my opinion. I mean,
good for her.
It was 7-1, but I'm biased. Yeah, I think that was what did you make of the president walking across the street after they tear gassed and shoved all the crowds, the protesters who were peacefully protesting, out of the way? What do you think of that little move, that optics?
Right. I mean, when he gave his speech in the Rose Garden, off in the distance, you could hear, tear gas canisters being lodged at the protesters in the park. And we all know that was a photo op. So they shot at and they ran out all the protesters just so Trump could walk through and do his Hitler type photo op. Most don't know this, but I am of Jewish descent. I'm not a practicing Jew. I'm an American, but my family fled Germany as German Jews during World War I. So when I hear this type of rhetoric from the leader of our country, I think dictator, I think Hitler, I think, oh shit, here we go again.
Yeah. Yeah. For him to, what was the statement? He's going to have the military. It was more of that he's going to. He wasn't asking the governors, the officials of the states, if they wanted federal military or federal troops to come in and help them. He was telling them, if you don't get this under control, I'm going to send these troops in. And that scared the poop out of me. I wasn't surprised. They've been warning us. But what happens, Shanda, tell us what happens when a president, I'll say president, when the highest office in the land uses their military against their own people in the country. What's that all about?
Well, if we were another country, we'd be invaded by the US, but I call it dictatorship. He might as well be Mussolini or Hitler or, we could say even Stalin at some point, but I don't even think Stalin used soldiers on his own people. So it's very scary. And the fact that he's stomping on our First Amendment rights with such little disregard, and people of the country are just bowing to it. It's insane. It's shocking. You always hear people say, how did the German people just fall in line behind Hitler? This is how. This is exactly how.
You're probably right on that. I mean, this makes me want to go back and look at history, look at posse comitatus from the Obama administration, and then go all the way back to how this kind of shit starts in the first place with World War I, World War II, all this crap. Because once again, I was not a good history student in high school. I was thinking, what's the use? That's past. Let's look forward. Well, that sounds like what Obama said. We're not going to follow past. We're going to go forward. Oops, big mistake. So everybody out, history is probably...
History. In 1947, the War Department put out a movie called Don't Be a Sucker. And it was about fascism in the United States. And now they've declared war on anti-fascists in the United States. My grandfathers who fought in World War II are rolling over in their goddamn graves.
Yeah, it's my dad. So many people we mutually know are probably just spinning in our graves, and I don't even want to go there with actual journalists from the past like Ida B. Wells and Edward R. Murrow. They are spinning and weeping, just like I said yesterday. So meanwhile, while the orange sack and monkey dicks, quoting my sister there, is trying to shove his Bible down our throat and his authoritarian Mussolini-like posture. We've got the Dems. What are the Dems doing here? What do we got going on? Let's take a look and see. I think this kind of speaks for itself. Oh, fuck.
What they're feeling, what they're hearing. To a person, I hear them say, we don't know these folks. We don't know these folks who are agitating. We don't know these folks who are inciting violence. We don't know these folks who are first in to break a window.
Governor Walz even insinuated that organizers of the protests were organizing on the dark web, and Minnesota officials began concocting a story that really it was foreign and domestic, quote, outside forces who were responsible for the violence. Now, who do you go to when you need to launder something epically stupid? Well, MSNBC's Joy Reid, of course. Reid picked up the nonsense insinuating that Russians and white nationalists were the ones responsible for the violence in Minneapolis. It was a theory that held up for approximately 1 hour until local news in Minnesota revealed that jail records in the city showed the majority of those arrested were in fact Minnesota residents in Minneapolis. Furthermore, when Attorney General Bill Barr identified Antifa as one of the left-wing organizations responsible for some of the violence, Reid flipped out. She claimed that there was, quote, already documented proof that white nationalist groups were responsible for the violence, despite the predominance of the evidence showing pretty clearly Antifa anarchists and other normal protesters were responsible for much of the violence that we see nationwide. Even Obama's former national security advisor, Susan Rice, got in on the action a day later on Sunday, telling CNN that strife we see is, quote, right out of the Russian playbook.
I'm not reading the intelligence today or these days, but based on my experience, this is right out of the Russian playbook as well.
Oh, my God.
That shows a true sickness at the heart of these establishment Democrats. They wanted to play act revolution and protesting.
I know. That's Saagar's job. But unfortunately, Saagar's not wrong 24/7, or at least wrong in his opinion. What do you got to say about that, Russia?
Well, he's wrong about a little bit of this. So, okay. Russia, right? It's always Russia. That's just fucking hilarious. If you want to be on the right side of history, always be on the opposite side of Joy Reid. That's my take on it. But, to blame white nationalists or to blame Antifa, we are seeing time and time again who's actually inciting these riots. 9 times out of 10, what I'm seeing on the hundreds of videos I've watched, it's police, it's provocateurs, and it's anarchists.
Well, I agree with you. Shanda, we just had we're just sister and brother from different mothers.
Right.
As far as I think we're wired similarly with many in our group right here. Yes, Chelsea Saagar was lame today. Yeah, he was. Krystal kicked his ass in that debate, Chelsea.
Good girl.
I gotta say, that's really good.
His Republican bubbles up occasionally,
Yeah, it does. It really does. And if I'm going to be abused, it would want to be abused by and beat the hell out of it. I want to be in that to be Krystal, a very intelligent, well-spoken, well written, well researched person. So kick my ass all day long, Krystal. Keep it up.
I'm confused. Who are we supposed to be scared of? Russians, white nationalists, Antifa? Who's the enemy right now?
Well, the damn protesters. You see, they're looting and they're throwing bricks through windows and setting police cruisers on fire. Right? It's the protesters bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Did I tell you about that post where the police are beating their own police car cruiser in Boston, and there's hundreds of protesters recording it, and they're screaming, "Put your back into it." Facebook flagged that as fake news.
Yeah, they
fake
news. How do you fake that? Did a bunch of protesters steal a police cruiser and dress up in cop gear and beat the hell out of the thing? I mean, excuse me. There's a little time and setup and everything else. Plus, everybody is going to jump in the middle of that and stop that shit.
Right. And somebody said, well, maybe they were busting out the windows because they were already busted out so they could drive it home. And I said, but the bottom line is they're still busting out the window. So how is that fake news?
So why were they spray painting pigs on the side of the thing?
Right. Why were they standing on the hood with a sledgehammer?
I mean, come on, guys. Come on. Really? I mean, is it gotten that bad? Well, anyway. So we know that the police are not by any means trying to elevate this riot thing, and we've got the video to prove it right here. Here we go, folks. What do we have here? What is that, Shanda? Is that a police?
Is that police?
It's a police vehicle. Yeah, it's got the big 14. I like it's really nice. What are they doing? They've got gloves on there. What are those things they're pulling out of that vehicle?
Are those bricks?
Those are loose bricks. What the hell? I mean, those buildings right there look like they've already been built, and they look like they're in pretty good shape.
Bricks so that the protesters don't fucking use them, dude. That's what they're doing. They're doing that for undercover police officers that are getting involved in the protests so that they have an excuse to beat the shit out of people.
You think? Anyway, I mean, really. So Shanda, you can open up on that because I think you're going to have a show Thursday that's going to show some of that chicanery going on.
Right. When we went into Philadelphia and protested for 5 days, there was so many agent provocateurs. There was misinformation. There was obviously somebody manipulating that crowd. And we knew it. We knew it by the way they were conquering and dividing us, backing us into corners, putting misinformation out. And here we go again. We know it exists, but we've seen video in Minneapolis. We've seen video in Dallas. We've seen video in LA and Boston. I'm sure other cities where mysterious pallets of bricks are showing up at these protest sites.
Yeah, not to mention the undercover or the incognito security cops, whoever the hell imported, who are coming in and spray painting graffiti all over buildings, who are breaking windows, and then later being identified as somebody with a purpose to elevate the violence and the bloodshed. And why would they want to do that? Why would they want to elevate this thing?
Let's see. That way they get more funding. They get the public sympathy on their side. Bad protesters. There's lots of reasons for this narrative.
And I don't hate being sarcastic about this at all. I don't give a fuck, because this is just so many shades of wrong. And so it's just so what we are not want to be in this country. Now,
we were deemed terrorists 3 nights ago.
Oh, yeah.
We are official terrorists.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So bring the military in with their cannons and their bazookas and just, do it. And I don't know if you guys can see my background here. I just want to show you something. This imagery right here, what do we got here? We got a collage or something, but you see this bicycle helmeted cop there with his pepper spray shooting a woman when she's down. That could have been Photoshop, but you know what? This imagery here is what we're seeing in real time, okay? So you can call it fake or whatever, but this is what Shanda, you've seen this shit too. I mean, this is just another slice of what we're getting out there.
Absolutely.
So again, it's terrible. Now, I want to kind of go forward. It's a toss-up what I wanted to do here, but I think we'll listen to Cornel West briefly. He goes on and, I think Kyle was praising Anderson Cooper for letting him talk. I'll skip through it, though. Just bear with me. But Cornel nails it again. Love that guy.
Cornel West went on CNN to discuss the George Floyd protests and what's happening across the country at the moment. And his breakdown was brilliant. This is part of it. We'll take a look and then we'll discuss.
In deep sadness, because I've been trying to bear witness for over 53 years, telling the truth and trying to say something about the least of these. But I think we are witnessing America as a failed social experiment. And what I mean by that is that the history of black people for over 200 and some years in America has been looking at America's failure. Its capitalist economy could not generate and deliver in such a way that people could live lives of decency. The nation state, its criminal justice system, its legal system could not generate protection of rights and liberties. And now our culture, of course, is so market-driven, everybody for sale, everything for sale. It can't deliver the kind of really real nourishment for soul, for meaning, for purpose. And so when you get this perfect storm of all of these multiple failures at these different levels of the American empire, and Martin King already told us about that. When I saw those pictures there in Atlanta, you could see Martin right there in Atlanta saying, I told you about militarism, I told you about poverty, I told you about materialism, I told you about racism in all of its forms, whatever forms it takes. I told you about xenophobia. And what we've seen in America is now these chickens coming home to roost. You're reaping what you sow. And in this instant, you have Brother George, where it is so clear it is a lynching at the highest level. Nobody can deny it. And I thank God that we have people in the streets. Can you imagine this kind of lynching taking place and people are indifferent?
I can't imagine. I hope to Christ that never happens, just like everything. Shanda?
Well, I agree with Cornel. I love Cornel. He's one of my favorite writers, speakers. I think he is just brilliant. He gets it, I think you got to have a little bit of the gangster in you to understand. He always says, I have a little bit of gangster in me. You have to understand what's going on in the streets. But I hope that, yes, we are a failed, attempt, but I do believe that our Constitution has the bare bones in there to guide us. It's just that our 4 branches of government, I say 4 because let's face it, the press is a arm of the state, have failed. They are corrupted, and until we wrestle those branches back, America will continue to be a failed experiment.
I couldn't agree more. We got to be in the streets. We got to be in the streets for George Floyd and all the rest of our black sisters and brothers, people of color, being murdered. If I see one more goddamn sign that says all lives matter, I think I'm going to go tear it down.
I know. I live in Redneckville, and it's bad where I am. Every other house has a Trump flag on it right now.
Yeah, it's like, really, guys? Come on. Anyway, shout out again to Barbara. Good morning,
Good morning, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara. Jilly, Al. Hey there. Schultze. We got our regular peeps in the house, and our peeps. So let's try and look at some of the, or at least one of the brighter things in life. I'm still looking here. Okay, here we go. Let's start off with this one. This is Fiorella tweeted this out last night or yesterday.
Did you watch the Convo Couch live when they talked about their arrest?
Yeah, I sure did. I got a clip of that.
That was
in there
sickening,
too.
the way they pinned them in that alley.
Yeah, that was and I'm glad that they're okay. I mean, they're alive, but we need them to get out there more. And I gotta say, Fiorella's got some cojones getting out there, going back, and they, I guess from what they tossed her around like a bag of rice or whatever.
That's my sister.
Yeah. So anyway, she tweeted out a group of peaceful protesters stopped looters from breaking into a Walgreens in Hollywood. Nearby, dozens of people were arrested for looting at a CVS. This group of peaceful protesters stopped many people from hurting their record and others. LA protest is that. I think
very good.
I think.
But can I ask you? I've seen video of Hollywood of CVS's being looted from 2 nights ago. I watched a journalist be attacked because he was recording looters. Which, okay, you can understand why that would happen. But you know what I saw in that video that was so profound? I saw grown men going into a Walgreens and a CVS and coming out with laundry detergent out of everything they could take out of that damn store, electronics, and no, they took laundry detergent. What does that say about our society right now and the economic oppression that we are under? Well,
I'm not going to play this cut, but it's too obscured. But what it says is what these people, these people who are stopping these looters, because we don't know who the hell these looters are or what their motivation is, and it adds, what you just mentioned adds a different dimension. Then it reminds me of something. When people go in and shoplift, what's their motivation? Okay, they go in, they're stealing food, they're stealing laundry detergent, they're stealing the basics. They're not necessarily stealing colored TVs and iPhones and all that other shit for resale mostly. So I worked in retail a lot. I dealt with shoplifters a lot. I had some pretty bad experiences with them because at that time, back in the 80s, the 70s, I was kind of dumb. I kind of went with the you shan't steal, you can't steal. Stealing is wrong, without giving a thought of why are people stealing, if they're stealing food or just to be a dick, So, again, a lot of these people may be taking advantage of the situation for things that they can't normally afford and get by. They're saying, what the hell? We just got looted as a nation by Wall Street and our Congress. So they're self-justifying whatever they do, which I caution anybody, when you start having to self-justify yourself, then the justify in there kind of goes in the crapper. But the stark reality, like you're alluding to, I believe, Shanda, is people are starving out there.
They are. And, if you've never had a hungry belly, you don't understand. People just think, oh, well, why don't you go to a food bank? Well, you can only go to the food bank once or twice a month, depending on where you live. And the food that you are given, doesn't last but maybe a couple of days. And if you know what you're doing, you stretch it out. But, I know mothers that go without dinner so that way their children can have dinner. That's where our country is at right now. We don't talk about it. We don't face it. I think this is inevitable.
Yeah. Where do these people under the bridge get their food from? A lot of it's handouts, maybe some religious or social safety net organizations, things like that. When you really stop to think about it, and, oh, well, they're overweight, they're fat. Well, you know what? Don't even go there, asshole, because the quality of the food is probably why
we
they're
feed them
unhealthy.
carbs.
Yeah, it's just
pasta, donuts.
Maybe they eat a whole bag of 5-day-old frickin' donuts, because it's the only thing they got to eat. Not making excuses. This is just reality.
No, I've lived out of food banks for almost 40 years.
Oh, shit.
And I know exactly the problem with our food banks. I know what our stores give, and it is the day old donuts. It is, a bag of pasta. Even if you got a few fresh vegetables, they only last a few days because they're already ready to turn, or they're turning when you get them. So yeah, we feed them an unhealthy diet and then call them fat.
Yeah, and I'm not saying there aren't others out there that are just trying to build up their bank accounts through robbery and things like that. But
right, there's the opportunists.
Yeah, there's those opportunists. But I had the unfortunate happenstance where I was damn lucky. I had to live out of dumpsters for food for an entire summer. I mean, it was back when I was smoking, and I was so low emotionally, mentally. I was finding used cigarette butts that were in pretty good shape, and I was smoking on them. Yes, folks.
That's poor.
I was the poor dregs of society, that everything going. And that was, and I want to tell you, I had been in college, and that was in between college and getting a job. So, you know what? Got to do what you got to do to survive out there. I don't smoke anymore, but, I hope I'm never to the point where I'm never going to say never. Because we have to do what we have to do to survive. And when people just scoff at people, oh, you can get a Happy Meal for $1, bullshit. That's not food. That's not nutrition. So anyway, I'm digressing. I want to point out something good as we're getting to the end of this show. And thank you again, Shanda, for joining us today. And you'll be here tomorrow, too, on Women's Wednesday, right?
Yes, Women's Wednesday, Games of Doom.
Get the ladies signed up, and Oz can sit behind the curtain and pull the earwax out of his head. We've got a clip here from I think this is the Convo Couch, and they talked about their arrest and the looting and the narratives and proof protesters are peaceful. It's a 2-hour clip from yesterday. I recommend those of you who have the time to give it a look and check it out. But one part of this clip was showing some police officer. I think they're in Virginia. Is that where they were, Shanda? Where they were actually...
I don't know if I've seen this one. We didn't have time in the green room because I came in late. But just roll it. Oh, yeah. No, this was Flint. This is Flint.
Is this Flint? This is Flint. And let's roll it because I didn't get the full context because I'm busy.
But this is good.
Don't think for a second that he represents who these cops are from all over the county and around this nation. We go out there to help people, not do that nonsense.
There we go.
I want to tell you, where's my man? Right there. Where's the gentleman?
Oh, I think he took off.
Okay, yeah, my man.
He took off.
Pastor Hawkins, see, I'm just going to tell you, we want to be with y'all for real. So I took my helmet off and laid the batons down. I want to make this a parade, not a protest. You got little ones here, you got dogs, so what's up? So listen, I'm just telling you, these cops love you. That cop over there hugs people, so you tell us what you need to do.
Walk with us! Walk with us! Walk with us! Walk with us! Walk with us!
Yeah. How about it, guys?
Walk with us. Yeah. This was Flint, Michigan, I think 3 days ago, which I absolutely believe is what we need to see of our police forces in the United States. We saw it in Portland 2 days ago, too. Sadly, Portland's was just a photo op. They took a knee, they bowed to the crowd, then they stood up and just opened up on them with tear gas. So, is this a photo op? I think this guy was genuine. This was the sheriff's department, but I think that's what we need to see.
Well, there's a lot of actors and posers out there, and I've got a pretty good bullshit detector. And not seeing him in person in real time in air, just optically, I'm saying this guy's chances of him being legit here and his sincerity, I feel it. I feel it.
Right. I do too.
I really do. So I don't want to be a prick all the time and say, fucking liar, cop, because we're never going to get anywhere unless we change our mindsets and keep that open with critical thinking. What's your feeling about that?
I've been on the front lines many times, and I have been face to face with police, and the biggest thing, the most effective thing I've seen on the front lines isn't throwing rocks or, it is shaming them. Shame on you. What are you doing? We are your brothers. We are your sisters. We are your sons. We are your daughters. How dare you stand against us and stand against democracy? We just have to be peaceful, and we have to shame them.
Yeah, well, and it's too bad it has to come that way. But again, we talk about the mindset of law enforcement in this country, where we're getting our law enforcement from. It's ex-military, and
Exactly.
again, you have that military training and a certain mindset about going to war, especially in another country. You know, this U.S. empire. You know, and I think they were talking about it on a couple of different interviews the other day about 1 out of every 10 military individuals have something really loose in their head. And I'm saying that politely as I can because they're sick too. So
yeah, 22 a day commit suicide.
Yeah, and that's the other side of the sickness. They, you know, I'm talking about the psychos that get off on killing shit, that have that, you know, but then they come home and a lot of people understand what they've been through and what they've witnessed, and they just can't handle it, and they off themselves. And
so they become cops.
And they become cops. Again, you know, we have. God, we could just go on forever, but again, just remember all these incumbent Democrats. I'm going to throw shade at the Krats because they deserve it as much as the Republicans, who are out there praising law enforcement. Just overall law enforcement, like De Blasio did the other day, and you know, things like that. It's not happening, incumbent Democrats. It's not happening. Or if it's in your mind, you're seeing one side of it and you're not speaking to the other side of it because you want everybody to think about how great you are, you know, protect and serve, supporting these people. And you can't call out the rotten apples of that basket too in the same statement. You chicken shits. And one comes to mind right now is Rick Larson, Washington Congressional District 2. That guy is despicable, and I apologize to his kids, but your dad is a head trip. He is a tool. He's awful, and I will back this up with any statement any day. He's just my example because I'm in Washington State, and I've been going around with this tool for years. He is in the pocket of all those that are the reason why we have what's happening today. So I'll get off that. If you don't get Jason Call in there, you're really screwing yourselves once again. Quit sending the tools like Larson and Pelosi back to represent you, thinking they don't represent you. They represent the corporate oligarch. That's who they represent. So don't get into that shit because, once again, quoting Val Kilmer, I'm your huckleberry. I'll take you on all day long, and it might get old, but I am. That's how angry, how enraged that so many of us are. Anyway, let's move on, Shanda. Well, you want to finish up this?
I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Al Suarez, who I interviewed 2 weeks ago, he was just featured on RT International. He did a great representation of what's going on in America. So he's been messaging me about sending videos. So I'm sorry, I spaced.
No, don't apologize. I mean, Al was a terrific interview, Embassy Protector you had at the Accidental Activist. Check it out. Shanda did a wonderful job. Al, very articulate, well-spoken, and spoke truth to power, and that's what we need. People are going to stand up. Like Jojoba said yesterday, it's not activism to hashtag Black Lives Matter.
Exactly.
It's what you can give to the movement. Get out there and support our sisters and brothers, them across the country. Because when Trumpty Dumpty starts calling out the military on this country's own people, we know what that is. We're going to finish this out. I am sorry for what I'm about to say because I have opinions, and I really try and push and elevate social media personnel who I believe are speaking truth to power. We don't have to agree all the time, but I was shocked and disappointed last night. Kim Iverson came on with a clip about how she felt, and you watched part of this clip, Shanda, that she felt that Sweden's model for combating the COVID virus was the way to go. Now, I disagree with that, and I'm not going to beat the hell out of her without giving everybody in the group the opportunity to watch the video and give me, please, email Roar Media Live with your opinion, and I'll read it on air. if you choose to do so. But I just want to show the map of the COVID right now.
And what was Sweden's policy, just so everybody knows?
Well, here's the map, and I'll go straight in. We've got 76,445 deaths worldwide, 105 of those in the United States right now. Okay, all right. Now, let me get Kim's video up here so we can give a slice of this. This is how she starts out, and I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's 16 minutes long, but please, everybody, I think I've got the link in the rundown. If I don't, I'll double check it. Check it out, because I have always thought that Kim was very well researched and had pretty solid opinions, whether I agreed with them or not. But this one, man, it hurts me. It hurts me for several reasons. Now, it might not hurt you. You might agree with her 100%, but let's listen to a couple of minutes of this.
And various governments around the world, including ours, are going to try to gaslight you into believing that Sweden's laissez-faire approach to the coronavirus, their no lockdown approach, was a failure. But they are gaslighting you. Sweden's approach has been nothing short of an actual success. And we're going to go over this and why, in fact, Sweden's approach has been successful for the most part. I mean, no death. You know, when people are dying, you can't really call it really all that successful or victorious. You know, it's a shame no matter what, and it's tragic no matter what. But as far as what the doom and gloom models told us would happen and the reality of what's actually happened in Sweden, we can actually walk away and say, you know what, maybe come fall when this virus comes back, when it comes back for the second wave, which it will, maybe we should consider going the way of Sweden this next time around. Now, a lot of headlines are coming out, like this one here, saying Sweden's coronavirus experiment has well and truly failed. Or here's another headline for you. Sweden's COVID death rate now 10 times higher than Norway's. So let's break down some of the facts. Now, Sweden, if you're unfamiliar with the way that they've approached coronavirus, is they looked at the facts, they looked at the data, and their epidemiologists decided, and their government decided, that going to a lockdown was unnecessary, that it would result in disaster, as we've seen lockdowns result in disaster. We haven't even seen the full effects of going into lockdown, but I suspect that the death toll will be very high from cancers that were not caught early enough. You know, all the doctor's appointments were canceled. People were not getting treatment for early stages of heart disease, cancer, diabetes. Now we've got even just basic, simple things that should have been, you know, cavities at the dentist are now turning into root canals, and root canals are turning into extractions. And, you know, we're going to see a major ramifications when it comes to health and wellness of our population, not to mention the economic disaster that we are in currently, which has created the angst, the anger, and just the unrest, which I believe is one of the major components of why we're seeing now all of these protests, destruction of property, looting. The ramifications of this shutdown are far-reaching. And
okay. All right. Now you got to see that again, Shanda. Do you see where she's going with this? That I personally don't think that's the angle you should look at it from. What's your feeling?
I think Kim woke up on the libertarian side of the bed that day. I just want to abstain from this, I guess, because I don't want to attack her position on it, even though I don't agree with it. My husband had a heart attack in October. I watched this virus coming in. I think I had it in December. And so I have been locked down, and by choice, I have stayed home and stayed away from large crowds. And, you know, I do think it'll be worse on the second round. Is the second wave going to wait till this fall? Who knows with all these protesters out there? We could see a second wave in just a couple of weeks, I think.
None of us profess to be scientists or biomolecular chemists or whatever. But, yeah, I was disappointed with Kim's opinion ed here because she's very well researched, in my opinion, with, you know, as much as she can do and things like that. But when she started linking the outbreaks in the streets, you know, the rioting, she lost me there. When she started talking about economic downfall, cancers and all this other stuff, she lost me there. You know,
we don't have health insurance. We don't get to go find out if we have cancer, a year early.
Yeah. And I think you nailed it. You know, the not the insurance, but the libertarian aspect of what she's saying. Now, again, I was pretty harsh in my comments. If you guys happen to see them, my comment in this thread, it was harsh, but it was fair, because I respect Kim. I really feature a lot of her stuff. But just like MSNBS or CNN, which are easy because they suck, I'm going to be critical and use critical thinking when our other friends in social media have opinions. I mean, Jeffrey Denton, he's a good friend of ours. I don't agree with him all the time. And sometimes there's a big divide in agreement there. But Jeffrey is thoughtful, and he listens to everybody's point of view, and he comes out and takes a position. Once again, I used to think myself, I'm a fan of Jimmy Dore. I'm a fan of Fiorella and Kim and Pasta and Graham and everybody else. I'm going to rescind that. I'm not a fan. I'm a follower, and I want to be involved in the discussion, whether they know it or not. But we do bring the discussion to everybody in our streams, no matter if it's 10 or 50 or 500. So again, please go to this clip where she's explaining her view, her opinion, and I gotta say, I'm just really kind of shocked that she's kind of hinting at a hoaxy sort of thing, but not. Again, if I'm wrong about this and she's 100% or right in, mostly right, I will mea culpa and say, Kim, I'm not worthy. You were right. But damn it, I expect the same damn thing from our social media people when we can get up here and pontificate all day long and not be able to have people push back. You guys in the chat, push back on me all you want.
Oh, you're getting some pushback, Yeah. I think that's what makes our movement.
Yeah, do it.
Because we're open-minded. I will take new information in and adjust my opinion based on the new facts that I'm learning. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to say, hey, I was wrong about that. I've changed my opinion. And I've done this many times.
Yeah.
Seattle just shut down. Gunmen on the loose. Just came across my phone. So I don't know if you guys check that out.
Yeah.
Let us know in the chat what's going on. But
we're almost out. But and whatever pushback, for all of you that are regulars that I know, I love you. Just push back all you want, because I need to stand up. You need to stand up, and we can't just be the choir all the time. And, if I say something, it is misspeaking. I'm not lying. Or if I say something inappropriate in contrary to your opinion, say, hey, Oz, lighten up, man. I'm just trying to give you your opinion. And I expect the same from you. But this time with Kim, really, and I think, you kind of, taking a side on this, Shanda, is the way to go until it evolves more. I'm just interested to see some of the comments, but mostly the comments are pro what Kim's saying. It's her channel, it's her group of followers. But I don't think Kim would appreciate me just licking her boots on this. I think she'll, and I did. I said, I call bullshit on this one, Kim, and I did offer her, if I'm wrong, I will mea culpa, but I accept the same courage and class from you if you're wrong. And time will tell, I guess, won't it? Isn't time will tell?
Yeah.
Science
will
tell.
It's COVID is so, we know there's a lot of iffy stuff about it. We know that it could possibly be a biologically engineered weapon that they're using on us. So, it's hard to have a formed opinion right now with so many things going on behind the curtain.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, everything's going insane with the military being called out against the country's populace. This is surreal. This is weird. I would have never thought this in my lifetime, but people have been saying it's coming. Pandemic's coming. Uprising, revolution's coming. So anyway.
We knew it. We knew it.
You want to talk about your show coming up before we go out?
Oh, so Thursday, I was going to do a Medicare for All interview with a wonderful initiative that we're working on in Washington State, but I just feel like right now is probably not the right time. I feel like people wouldn't engage, and I don't want the message to be lost or overlooked. So we're going to focus on what we're seeing in the streets, maybe some of these provocateurs and, the people that are actually causing the rioting, not the peaceful protesters. So if you got ideas, drop them in the chat, send them to Roar, and always send us your clips and info. We're willing to take a look at anything. I just want to sign off with this saying: the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots. Thomas Jefferson. And, you know, in our country, it's so corrupt right now. Maybe it's time.
Yeah, the stench in our country is horrible. And again, we get to stream like every other person out there in the turf now because we're all locked down at home. We're busier than hell. But yeah, we want to just provide a place for you guys to come in at 10 o'clock every morning. Next Tuesday, I'm going to be off. I got to go up and get some doctoring done on my vehicle. But we are trying to be consistent. Please check out Marcus and Dennis and John Ellis. No joke, Germany via Olympia. A great show every week. Larry Taylor on Sunday, PDPR, people to reform the Democratic Party from within, but they're not Democratic operatives. It's actually using Robert's rules and the rules against the corruption in the Democratic Party, plus Progressive Oregon. We have Progressive Washington coming on tap. Suzanne Murphy, truth be known, is, I swear, we're going to have her here. You're going to love her.
So excited for that one.
Yeah, she's going to be
She's
great.
amazing. She blows my mind.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah, and hopefully next week we're going to have a big announcement that I think many of you will appreciate and enjoy and support. I guess that's it. I think that's it for today. Check us out on Rockfin. Please sign up for free. You don't have to buy premium. It's always nice if you want to. If you sign up for premium, sign up through our channel on Rockfin, Uphill Media, because we get happy faces for that, and they might want to keep us on instead of booting us. They haven't done that yet, but you know, let's kind of all work together and make it. You get content, not just premium from us, but all the premium content on Rockfin. There's a lot of good producers over there, and we need to get away from this
very progressive
YouTube crap. You know, they're killing us. Anyway, let's end up on a nice note. At least try to.
Our love to Rhonda. Feel better, honey.
Yeah, Rhonda. We hope you're feeling better. And Amber did respond. She said, "Oh, I got a killer headache. I was up late, and she's busting her butt, and she would have come in." But thank you, Shanda, for joining us today. The music going out is from 2012, The Magic of Belle's Island. You know, if you want to just get away from it all and just see a nice frickin' movie, I recommend this. I'm going to run a little bit of it, and then we'll go to our outro song.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
What's he yelling at?
Life. This might be a good place to write.
You want me to write?
Well, let's just start.
Girls, it's not polite to stare.
I'm a big admirer of your work.
Sometimes I want to pull my pants down.
Join the club.
There's more to life than the way you're living it.
Stuff your ideas in the suggestion box on your way out.
I have to go into the city for the day. I was wondering if you might stay with the girls.
You want me to babysit?
Thank you, Mr. Wilder.
Who's up for some high-stakes poker?
I'll play.
How much you got?
Man, that was one hot lady. If she was my woman, I'd never let her leave the bed. Hey, you like magic tricks?
Can you make yourself disappear?
Lovely day, Mr. Wildhorn.
It's shaping up to be a considerably lovely day. Spot, that lady has a way of making me sit taller in the saddle.
You seem different. You're not yourself.
Right now, I'm seeing things with a clear eye, and quite frankly, I like the view.
What do you want out of life, Mr. Wildhorn?
I'd settle for more nights like this. There just might be something special about this place.
We danced in the moonlight, held hands in the park. We strolled by the
Buenos dias, senoritas. I don't know about you, but this music makes me feel like dancing.
I've never had the glow I feel tonight. It's a
Most times, real life doesn't measure up to what's in our heads, but every now and then, it comes pretty close. Fetch. I respect consistency.
Again, And by the way, Fred Willard, he just passed away.
I was just going to say we just lost Fred Willard.
Yeah, he passed away. I think he was 85.
But Rob Reiner has just turned out to be a disappointment.
Oh, I know. I was going to say, by the way, a great movie, except fuck Rob Reiner. He's a neo.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, of course. I just want to say, but again, this isn't a Hallmark movie. This isn't all the pretty people. I think Morgan Freeman did a terrific job. Virginia Madsen. It's about a disabled writer. I mean, he lost his mojo, and he lived on an island drinking, everything else, and then this single mom with some girls moved there, and it just flipped his life over, and he saw things from a different way. And I hope that we can all start seeing things in different ways, better ways than what we're seeing now, because this is truly shocking to the system. Matter of fact, one of our showrunners, Dennis Goppler, from Germany, on the No Joke, he said he suffers from PTSD now. He's been diagnosed because of all the horrible imagery that he's seeing in our news and around our world. So he can't handle too much of the stuff. I get it. So
turn the TV off, man. I have a friend who's having heart problems, and I'm like, turn off the CNN and the MSNBC.
Yeah, I mean, you got to stop. I mean, it is definitely watching MSNBS or Fox or any of those other networks 24/7 will make you sick, physically sick, ill. Physically ill. And, this is why we try and switch it up here. We're at the top of the hour. We want to go out with, this is Marcus Miller. He is a jazz guitarist, musician. And what this is an all-stars strong together thing during the time of pandemic, and this was done prior to the lockdowns and everything, but I think the message is still the same. So I hope you all enjoy this, and it's not a downer, it's kind of a hopeful thing. And yes, there are people of color and white and brown and Asian and everything in this group, because it's not about one demographic. We're not doing something specific to any ethnic group. But this kind of made me feel good watching it, and especially the talent. But this is from around the world. Marcus Miller and the Monte-Carlo Philharmonic, international stars strong together. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, everybody, again. And by the way, Al Walsky got the Wipey Award today for being such a wonderful contributor and helper with supporting us, as so many of you do. And, we want to make sure that we recognize the people who follow us. But strong together, Marcus Miller. I hope you enjoy it as much as we did. It's really mellow. Let's go. Thank you, Shanda.
Have a good day.
Bye.
someday, maybe Monday. I know that one day soon